Hey everyone, you're listening to the Simple Electronics Podcast. I'm your host, Dan from the Simple Electronics YouTube channel. This episode is brought to you by PCBWay. More about that later, because right now I've got a very special guest back for, I believe, his third appearance on the show. I've got Pileofstuff with me. How are you?
Hello, greetings. Is this my third? I thought this was my second. I'm not sure.
I think it's third.
Whatever.
Let us know in the comments below, because obviously we're going to get it wrong no matter what.
Yeah, hopefully somebody's paying attention more than I am.
Not me, that's for sure. I'm just watching my life, sort of like scroll by one episode at a time. So that's me.
You've had some pretty big name guests on since the last time I was here.
I'm not sure who I've had since the last time. I know I've had Ian Scott Johnson. He was on. I think I've had also Julian Eilert since last time you were here. I'm just trying to place the timeline here.
Big Clive, Dave Jones, and I remember Bit Looney a couple of times.
Oh yeah, Bit Looney for sure. Big Clive, I think your second appearance was after Big Clive. I think so, at least. Whatever.
I'll have to go back and look. Whatever.
Yeah, people, go and check it and give us a timeline in the comments, please. But I've got you on today because I want to discuss a couple of things with you. Nonetheless, we're going to talk about your awesome YouTube channel, youtube.com/@pileofstuff. But also, you've recently had a major life milestone, haven't you?
I suppose you could call it, The company that I had been working for 29 years decided they needed to downsize and gave me a package to go away, and I'm considering this my retirement. So yeah, I'm essentially retired.
So you're not officially quote unquote retired yet, but I mean, basically nothing's going to physically change between now and, quote unquote real retirement, correct?
Oh yeah, no. I've got the package in place, and I'm not worried about money, which is nice. So YouTube can remain hobby level. I don't have to hammer on it for money, which is cool. I
feel personally attacked. I'm kidding.
You and about a million other people. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I'm just joking. So that being said, how do you feel? Like, I know you're not the youngest person in the world. You're not old, but you're not, you've lived a lot of life. How does it feel to have worked, basically 5 days a week? Actually, in your industry, it was probably averaged more than that, but at least 5 days a week for the last, a bunch of decades. And now you're basically on perma vacation. How does that feel?
And it exactly feels like a vacation too. And that's what I was telling everybody that I used to work with is, I'm just going to treat it like I'm on vacation until I get bored with that, and then I'll do something else. And so far, it's been a couple of months, and it still feels a lot like a vacation. I'm just picking off these job jar things one at a time. Don't have to kill myself. I got lots of time to do it. So, and I get to spend a little bit more time on YouTube. A bit more time researching, although not too much because I like to be spontaneous when I'm on camera, and a little bit more time editing. Not sure whether anybody notices or not, but I'm trying to be a bit more careful with that kind of stuff. So I don't know, it's the time is filling itself, and I'm not having to go looking for things to do. That's for sure.
Here's the major question to see how much time you've added to your YouTube process. Have you started making custom thumbnails? In your last few, I see one, maybe two that might be a custom thumbnail.
One, maybe two, yeah. I'm not going bonkers on that part because, quite honestly, I don't really enjoy that image editing kind of stuff. The video editing, I don't actually mind all that much. I've been doing video editing since I was in high school. Yes, on tape.
Like with a razor blade type thing.
Not quite that primitive, although I have edited audio that way.
So, all right, let's look back at your, let's go 3 videos back in the past from the time of this recording, and it might be actually from the time of this publishing as well, since this is going up in a couple days. But you sort of, there's a man attached to your hands, and that man went to the Calgary Maker Faire. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, that was so. Yeah, my wife said you should go find something fun to do. So I was looking around and I noticed that the closest Maker Faire to Winnipeg is in Calgary, and it was the first weekend of May. So I found a seat sale and booked the cheapest hotel I could find that didn't have rodents and things. And yeah, flew out there and spent a day and a half wandering around their event. And it was the first time I've been to a Maker Faire or any kind of an event like that, and it was pretty cool. They've got a good community of people doing the kind of stuff that we're into in that city. I was quite impressed.
So let me ask you then, the burning question in my mind is, did anyone there recognize you either by voice or I think, I don't know if I'm correct in saying this, you brought like you had your logo visible, right?
Yeah, I made up some business cards. People that have been watching my mailbags for a while, I got some metal business card blanks from AliExpress, and I ran them through the laser engraver and put the logo on one side of it, and on the other side a QR code and just the name of the channel, and the QR code links to the channel. And I gave them to 5 or 6 people just when they got talking to me about the camera that I was carrying around, and only one of them said, after he scanned it, he said, "Oh, I'm already subscribed to you."
Oh, wow. Well, that's a neat thing.
Which was one of the guys from the local makerspace, which wasn't, I guess, if anybody's going to be, that's probably the sort of person who would be. But yeah, it was. But other than that, nobody else noticed or acknowledged or even asked what I was doing with the video camera. So,
put this in perspective for me. So, did you go with your wife? Did you go by yourself?
No, just a solo trip. Just a quick little cheap getaway. I said or asked her if she wanted to go with me, and she said no. I will be entirely bored at something like that. So, okay, I'll just go by myself. That's fine.
And then, so how long was the event? Because looking at your video, which everyone should go check out, in fact, it's underperforming a little bit, which is a little bit sad. But so just looking at your event, it doesn't seem huge. But what was your impression when you got to the space? Like, what was your initial thoughts when you got there?
So yeah, the room was like I'd say a small convention hall, small to medium convention hall kind of space. It was at the football stadium. And the first impression I got in was just, there's lots of people here and there's quite a bunch of stuff. I couldn't see the back of the room from the front for the people and the things. And I just started wandering around, and I found a lot of people were just really happy to talk about what they were doing at as much length as I wanted to talk to them. And they were doing that with everybody that came through. There were tons of families and kids in the audience, which was great. There were multiple FIRST Robotics teams there from the local area in Calgary, in southern Alberta. At both the elementary school level and the junior high to high school level. And I believe there was also some robotics teams there, 2 different robotics teams from university level. There was a robotics or a rocketry group from a university, and a community rocketry club, model rocketry club, which was pretty neat to see. They actually had a launch happen that they live streamed onto the screen at the event. Obviously, they didn't do it there. They were doing it, 30 miles out of town or something, but they were live streaming it on the big screen at the event, which was pretty cool.
When you were walking around the floor, did you see anything that was very familiar to you? Maybe someone using Arduino or NeoPixels or something that would be at home on your bench. Did you see like a combination of those kinds of things?
There was several. There was one organization that did sort of STEM classes or creator classes, like summer camp kind of things for kids. And there was, I think, 2 or 3 of the youth there that were doing Arduino projects. They had a weekend challenge for the kids to do various maker type projects, and there was like 2 or 3 different groups that had Arduino Nanos and various other the standard boards that we get in the Arduino starter kits, and they were building projects. And so in that same area, there were other groups taking foam core board and cardboard and various other bits and pieces like that, and building houses and cityscapes and things like that over the weekend. And there was a learn to solder table there where another community group associated with the Maker Faire had got a bunch of very simple circuit boards made up that are basically just a battery holder, 2 LEDs, and circuit board that was shaped sort of like the Maker Faire logo or Make Magazine's logo, that robot thing. And over the weekend, I saw hundreds of people wearing those with flashing LED lights or eyes on them wandering around. So that was pretty neat. What else? There was one fella who had done an ESP32 custom circuit board shaped like the Mario Star, the Super Mario Star, with a whole stack of LEDs on it, and it was programmed to sort of play a sequence that was the sort of end scene of several of the levels from the various Mario games. That was pretty neat. And then there was a whole bunch of combat robot groups, the smaller Antweight ones. I think Angus from Maker's Muse just did a video the last day or two about one of his robots. It was that size of robots, basically sits in the palm of your hand or a little bit bigger. And those were every bit as extreme and ridiculous as the heavyweight ones that you see on TV. But this was, everyone from teenagers up to adults that were part of this robotics club. It was really neat to see in person.
Is that something that would interest you? Would you ever be interested in either, making your own combat robot or possibly supporting a team, putting in some labor or some design hours on?
Possibly some troubleshooting maintenance kind of time if there was a team like that around here. Yeah. I don't know whether I want to take it on myself. I'm more of a repair guy than a design guy. That's just how my career has been, and mostly how my projects have been. But now and again, I get the bug to just make something from scratch and go for it. But I don't know whether I'd be at the head of something like that, but I'd definitely join in if there was somebody like that around.
I just ask because maybe your regular viewers know this, but you've been slowly acquiring remote control gear, and so there's got to be something in Mr. Pileofstuff's back pocket that pertains to radio control stuff. And I was just trying to see if maybe the robot battles were something that you were interested in.
It's, as I said, that was the first time I'd seen it in person. So, and the equipment that they were using, the radio control stuff, was very much the similar to some of the things that I bought recently. I don't know whether I've got the bug for it or not, but I have been searching around a little bit for more bits and pieces that would go in that direction. Again, I still don't feel like a project is imminent. I don't know why I don't feel like that, but part of the reason why I just accumulate so many bits and pieces around here is, should the muse strike me one day, I've got what I need at hand. I don't know what that day is going to be, and I don't know exactly what that project is going to be, but I'm just trying to think of something that I've done recently that I just happened to have all the pieces around here, and I just sat down and did it in a day. Rather than, there's nothing that breaks your momentum more than, okay, I've got all these plans, I've got this project, and I don't have this doohickey, so I got to order it. 6 weeks later, it shows up from China, and then I don't really feel like doing it anymore.
Oh, I 100% know. And that has been my plan, to gather up enough stuff to do whatever I want. But it seems like every time something tickles my fancy, I have like 1 to 10% of what I need. So just an example for you, there is a YouTuber called Professor Boots who has designed a small scale, like desktop scale, RC excavator, and this thing has a full, the 100% of what you think is on a real excavator, this thing has. So it's got the turret that turns completely. It's got tank treads and tank steering. This is all 3D printed stuff, by the way. It has the boom arm with the lower lever. It's got the bucket with the tilt. It's got the thumb, and it's even the thumb and the bucket can spin 360. And I was like, I need to build this. Turns out I have none of the parts.
Plus, that sounds like a 6-month project as well. Something that scale.
Well, at the very least, he provides absolutely all of the 3D printed parts. And the only thing is you have to fend for yourself when it comes to the electronics and the hardware, unless you subscribe to his Patreon, or I think you can buy something on his website or something. But it's like $15 a month, and then you have access to, the PCB plans and all those things. But I'm taking it on as a small challenge to try to figure it out myself, and maybe I'll make my own PCB. I just have to figure out if I make my own PCB, if it's ethical or not to release my designs publicly. I'll have to chat with them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the ethics of that would be. I mean, probably legally you'd be okay because you designed it inspired by something. But yeah, the civilized thing to do would be to have a chat with him. Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because I'm the type of person, and my wife berates me for this all the time. I'm like, oh, I want to design X. And my wife's like, oh, that's really cool. People could pay you for that. And I'm like, oh, no. I'm just going to release the plans for free. So yeah, that's my life. So not to put you on the spot, but is there a plan for the RC gear, or is it just in case something ever bites you?
It's a combination of, I want to tinker with it just to see how it works and what I can do with it, and in case I come up with something that needs to be remote controlled, I can just do it right now. That's really all it is. I tend not to plan all that far ahead for most of these things, and I like to have what I need at hand if I can. And that's my guiding thing for the Mailbag Monday videos, is just trying to find a breadth of interesting and cool stuff that I could work with when I have a project. If the muse strikes me, right?
Fair enough. When I talked to Julian Eilert, one of my live stream viewers, and we can get to live streams shortly, but one of my live stream viewers really edged me to ask him about his vocoder project, because he just hasn't, it was a very interesting project and it hasn't seen the light of day for a long time. And in my mind, maybe your project isn't as intense as the vocoder, but I thought it was just as cool. Are we going to see a return of your Skycam project?
I'm actually looking at part of it right now, just because it happens to be hovering over my head. I don't know. That's kind of why I'm not making any promises or plans on big projects, because that one I launched into, made I think 3 videos on it, got the hardware where it works, and what I need is the software, which is the biggest weakness that I have. I tried to convince my kid to get excited about it, but that had absolutely zero interest there. So I'm kind of stuck on the software and presumably the math behind the software, but I don't even know what I don't know to come up with viable software to control it so that it doesn't crash into end stops or the ceiling or the floor or me or walls or whatever, or break the cables, fishing line, but have both or all 4 motors pulling apart from each other until something breaks. I just I've looked at it a few different times and it just overwhelms me in the software. So I'm not going to make any promises, but all the hardware is still here. It's still physically connected, and if I get bit by the bug, I can pick it up again. But yeah, no promises.
I
But yeah,
have.
it ran into the same problem that Julian did, just lack of lack of interest in going forward because there's this one thing standing in my way.
Well, I have one word and three letters for you, ChatGPT, because now the free version of ChatGPT uses the new 4.0 model, and I asked it to design me a piece of software, which I won't say what it is because I wanted to make it into a video. But I was very specific on what I wanted this piece of software to do. It spat out something that that would be at home on like another maker video or something. Like, it spat out some really good code, and I was like, no, I need it to do this, and then when that's done, it needs to go on to this and needs to do this, and then there's an end point, which is this, and it did it. I mean, I haven't connected it up yet, but what's nice is that you can tell it after what doesn't work, and it will rewrite it or rework it or write you a new function. So that might be, I think that would be an interesting video if you could, mess with ChatGPT. I don't know what your ethics say about ChatGPT. Mine don't really care.
I'm not really interested in going down that particular rabbit hole. It seems like writing the correct prompt is an engineering skill all on its own.
I mean, possibly, but I mean, if an idiot like me can do it, anyone can.
I suppose there was always the design method of stumbling around in the dark until you find something.
Yeah, the old poke and hope.
I'm good at that too. Well, I'm experienced at that. I wouldn't say I'm good at it.
Are you aware of Matthias Wandel, a YouTuber?
Oh, very much. Yeah.
Did you see his foray in ChatGPT back before like GPT-4? Like, this was probably like last year or something.
If I remember correctly, he spent quite a bit of time on it and got quite frustrated and decided it was just easier to do his own software, unless I'm thinking of somebody else. But
oh, I think you might be thinking of somebody else. The one where he messed with it, where I'm thinking of at least, is his family is from a region in the south of Germany that has their own sort of dialect, and that apparently Germans have a hard time understanding them, like unless they're from that area. A little bit like Newfoundlanders here in Canada. Right. They have very unique ways of speaking. And one thing that he was saying, now I'm just remembering the video from the top of my head, so viewers will have to forgive me if I get the details wrong. But he was saying that there's no concrete way of spelling words. The words in his area are spelled out phonetically, and as long as the sounds match up to what the word's supposed to sound like, that's how they do it. And so he went, I think he did 10 steps of writing in like perfect German and then slang German, and then down to the point where his words were just like a couple of letters long, or like really long, like flowy, but just basically gibberish. And he kept going down until ChatGPT couldn't understand what he was talking about, and it went all the way. ChatGPT figured it out all the way down to the bottom, and that was like at least two AI models old. So I think it's a lot more forgiving than you think it is. My opinion.
Yeah, I may have actually not watched that one just because as I said, I don't really feel like going down the rabbit hole. But yeah, I'll have to go and check that out, because I know I have watched the vast majority of his videos, so I'm surprised that I missed that one.
It might have been on his second channel. I don't know if you're subscribed to that one.
Also his third channel. Yeah, I am.
Okay, good. That's awesome. So are there any projects that you have started that you haven't made a video about yet since you've retired, or literally you're still winging it? You're still figuring it out?
I'm still winging it. I've got a loose idea of what I'm going to do. Well, the video for the current week and also the next mailbag I've got recorded and done, and I have a couple of ideas for what I'm going to do for the following week. But beyond that, yeah, I don't really have huge plans. I'm trying to just keep it as loose as I can.
Did you want to chat about what happened to your last Mailbag Monday video?
Oh, yeah. As part of my pretending I'm on vacation, I actually forgot what day of the week it was, and I released it Saturday night instead of Sunday night. Usually, I release it Sunday night when I go to bed, which is close to midnight and close enough to Monday anyway. But for some reason, I lost track of what day of the week it was and released it a day early, which confused a lot of people, apparently.
Yep. Probably people thought they were late for work since you released it. Yeah, you released it early, 9 days ago, and now today we're a Tuesday, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oopsies.
Oh, well, this happens. It's YouTube. It's not rocket science, unless you're, actually doing rockets. But
Yeah, BPS Space comes to mind. I don't know if you've seen their YouTube channel, but they're trying to do citizen science for getting into space.
yeah, one other YouTube channel that I watch that occasionally does rocketry is Zyla Foxland. She's an engineer in the States and YouTuber, and she's associated with a model rocketry group that has a launch facility out in the desert. And the last 2 Christmases, they've done an event that they call Seasons Yeetings, where they launch a Christmas tree.
I know. Isn't it great videos too?
Yep. And afterwards, they were selling off flight-tested Christmas ornaments for charity.
If anyone's in contact with Zyla, I tried to reach out, but I've heard from inside sources that she is one of the busiest people you'll ever meet. And so I don't have any illusions that she's going to come onto the podcast anytime. But, if ever she's interested, the door's open.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I don't know how she, even with the videos that she does, let alone all the other stuff, I don't know how she has time for it all. But, and such a smart person. And yeah, she's also a pilot, I believe.
She is.
And yeah.
Maybe, at least I think of my wasted potential when I watch her videos. So I don't know if you were thinking that too.
There's a lot of people that I could put in that category.
Just a quick interruption to talk about this episode's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay has been a long-term sponsor of the channel, and I think they're a good match for my channel because they provide quality PCBs for a reasonable price. You can get boards manufactured up to 100 mils by 100 mils for just $5, including shipping to Canada, $15 US, including shipping to USA, $12 US, which is incredibly cheap for professionally manufactured PCBs. I can personally attest to the quality of these PCBs, and so if you want a circuit immortalized forever, check out PCBWay.com with the link in the description. Now back to the conversation. Oh boy. Yeah, that's true. That's kind of how I feel when I have most of my guests on is like, how do you do this? Like for example, you get like someone like Sion, the Unexpected Maker, on, and he's on top of my mind right now because I was just in his live stream not too long ago. And how do you start a hardware business when like absolutely everybody you talk to say, it's going to be the biggest nightmare ever, and somehow Sion makes it work? Like, what a guy.
Yeah, and for him, this is a lot less stressful than his previous job, as he explains it.
Isn't that nuts?
Somehow. Yeah, he used to, I believe, be in software development or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's more power to him. But yeah, I don't think I would have the gumption to pull off something like that. Then again, he's a much younger man, so he's maybe got more energy than I do.
Yeah, possibly. And he's coffee powered. You're more like you go the other direction. You've got the beer, which is a relaxant, not a stimulant.
Yeah. Oh, the first half of the day I'm coffee powered. Don't worry about that.
Oh, okay. You ride the hill, right? Coffee in the morning to go up, and then beer in the evening to head down.
Oh, sort of. Instead of going down the middle of the road, just slam it between the 2 ditches.
I think I asked you this last time you were on, or the time before. I'm not sure now. But this time, you brought it up first on the pre-chat. Are we ever going to see a Pileofstuff live stream?
Maybe. I've been tinkering with the equipment for it, and I think I did just a really brief one several months ago with you and a couple other people, just to prove a concept with my technology. I'm not sure. I'm not the biggest fan of watching live streams, so I'm not quite sure what I would want to bring to it. But if I did it, it would initially be just with a small friendly crowd, my Patreons probably, just for the first couple, just to get my feet wet and see what it's like. But I'm not sure if I'm confident enough without having that editing capability behind me to pull it off. I don't know. I know you're enjoying doing yours. Or you seem to be anyway.
It's the greatest part of YouTube, honestly. Most of the like level with me here. When you record a video, let's say you got like 4 hours of footage, right? You have to go through that 4 hours of footage and cut it down to like a 16 to 25 minute video, 15 to 25, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I try not to have that much raw footage. I make pretty judicious use of the pause button when I'm recording. But yeah, the stuff that the world doesn't get to see is stuff that I'm really happy that they don't get to see. So I'm a little leery of that part of going live.
Well, you do have to have a bit of a sense of humor on yourself. Like, first of all, making mistakes. I mean, look, I'm a college professor, and so sometimes, I make mistakes too, and in front of a whole bunch of students that are, hoping to pin you down with anything they've got. And it just is what it is. I mean, they also understand at the end of the day that you're a human, but it's not really about that, because, like, how about the stuff that you don't film? Like when you have something on your bench, like a module on your bench, and you have to get an Arduino hooked up to it. There could be like 2 hours of messing around with example code and, putting wires in breadboard and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Every time, just about.
So that kind of stuff is the stuff that I live stream. It's not really for the viewers' interest. I mean, there is some, like, I'm interested in seeing how the sausage is made most of the time, except for actual sausages. I don't care how those are made. But the thing is that it's, I don't know about you, but for me, I found it a bit isolating when I have to, go get stuff off the other shelf, put it on my workbench, plug it all in, find test leads. If I don't have the right test leads for it, I have to create test leads. I have to like literally solder some up, and, getting code to work or doing research for a project, all this stuff that we do for YouTube that we don't count in our regular labor is just a lot less isolating, a lot more fun when you've got a small crowd just hanging out with you. They don't always chat. They're often, they often have your live stream open and they're doing other things. But when you're asking questions and whatever, they'll turn to you and they'll answer their opinions or whatever, if they have some anecdotes to say. It's more like just hanging out with like-minded people while you do your regular work. That's the way I've been seeing it, at least.
And that kind of stuff is exactly the sort of thing that I've convinced myself that I can't imagine why anyone else would want to watch.
You'd be surprised. Like I'll go into Sion's stream. Now, I will preface this by saying Sion and BitLooney, they do way better streams than what I do. So they have like interactions. Like you can, on Sion's stream, you can go ! Say, and then type something, and then a robotic voice will say it. You can also, there's a command to change his logo in the background, the video that's playing on it. And similar things with BitLooney. He has an earpiece connected to his Discord where whatever you type is said to him by a robotic voice. And if you join his Discord on a specific channel, you can hear what's going on. So there is some stream interaction, which is nice. But what I love about, like, say, Sion's stream, for the last bunch of streams, he's been putting together a robotic arm, like a giant 3D printed, like robot, factory car
Yeah,
assembling arm.
it's impressive. I have jumped into his streams a couple of times, but I stick around for 15 or 20 minutes, see what's going on, and then bounce usually. His streams and Bitloonies as well sometimes go on for half a day.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's the thing. When he was doing that while I was preparing my paperwork for my taxes. So I had literally like 9 hours of paperwork to go through and sort, because, it's, thousands of 30-cent AliExpress purchases and whatever. You got to put them in the right categories. And so something too engaging, like a TV show or a movie, is too distracting. And something like music or whatever just fades away in the background. So something that I can sort of be in and out on, like a live stream, is perfect for me. It's like being it's like working at a communal space instead of alone in your basement. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand where you're coming from. It's just, I don't know. I have a different impression of the live streams. I have been jumping into a few different people's live streams here and there just to sort of get a sense of what it's all about. But I've also been checking out the local makerspace to see if I might want to join that, if that might be interesting to sort of feel that sort of feeling as well, of having some community around.
Oh yeah, for sure. What I will say though is that, and you can have me edit this out after if you're not happy with it, but because I know you from these pre-chats and a little bit of back and forth that we do off YouTube, you're a very different person in quote unquote person than you are on your YouTube videos. And I think you've got the correct, like the right personality to just be in general entertaining on your live stream without trying. So I think you have what it takes to have a very successful live stream, even if your first couple, because you won't be super comfortable, will be a little bit more like the Big Clive live streams, where basically the entire stream he's reading chat and answering questions or whatever. So I think you'd be really good at it.
It's possible, and like I said, I haven't ruled it out. It's just not high on my priority list at the moment. We'll see what happens, and like I said, it'll probably be my my Patreon and YouTube channel members and a few people on a couple of different Discords that get invited to the first couple, just to see how it goes, if that happens.
Yeah, if he's not making any promises, folks, but
Nope.
We can definitely edge him towards doing it somehow. I will volunteer though to be a moderator if you need it, just to keep the riffraff out, because I feel like your channel is quite a busy one. Like you do get quite a few people watching. So
yeah, I'm not sure how many would be interested in it. Some of the other channels, just completely not in the electronics world, that I've been looking at their live streams just to get a feeling of how other people do it and what different ways are. They're channels that are, similar in subscriber base to yours, or, well, I think you probably got more subscribers, but yeah, similar in scale, and they get more views than both of us combined on a regular video. And, they'll get maybe 50 or 60 people in their chat or in their live streams. And I'm just sort of looking at how they handle it, what sort of technology they're using, that kind of thing. They seem to be a lot more prepared before they turn the camera on than I ever am.
Oh,
But I'm sure most people are like that on YouTube. I like to keep it pretty loose and spontaneous when I'm recording, and I expect that if I was doing a live stream, I would be even less prepared for that.
Oh,
I don't know how that would go.
Oh yeah, I start all of my live streams with my bench in the state that I leave it. So usually the first 10 minutes of my live stream is me stirring my coffee and clearing off my bench from whatever I was working on. So, I don't make any promises on my live stream. That's kind of the goal. The goal is just to be very raw And the people who do show up for it, it's a little weird for me. I don't get any transients because I don't live stream on my main channel. People have to go subscribe to a second channel. So that's why my traffic is quite a bit lower than if I would do it on my main channel. But that's the deal. Like the live stream is what it is. And if you like it, you like it. You don't. And there's no hard feelings either way, right? But I do end up with about 3 to 4 people that are there pretty much the whole duration of the live stream. And on top of that, I do get people going to watch the VOD after, like some of my, I mean, for having 3 or 4 people the whole time there, some of my VODs have quite a few views, like in the hundreds, which is interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't ruled it out, but I'm not making any promises.
Yeah, well, for sure. So let's say someone wanted to, I don't know, that wanted to support your decision to, retire or whatever. What would you recommend they do? Would you recommend that they just watch your videos and comment, or should they join Patreon? Should they send you random beers from wherever they live to your PO box? What do you prefer?
I'm still surprised that Anthony mailed me beer all the way from Australia that one time. I'm still boggled at that. Partly that he decided to do it, and partly that both post offices actually let it go through. That probably shouldn't have have made it unscathed, but yeah, any of the usual YouTuber support things, Patreon channel members, super thanks, any of that kind of stuff. I've even got buy me a coffee thing, and I never put any pressure on anybody because I'm doing this as a hobby, one that happens to pay its own bills, which is great, but I'm never expecting to get rich at this YouTube thing. And to that end, I'm probably breaking about 100 of the best practices rules that the YouTube gurus put out there, but I don't really care. I'm doing it because I want to and because I'm enjoying it, and I'm hoping that people are along for the ride. That's basically it. But yeah, if somebody wants to toss a couple of dollars in the tip jar, that's great too.
And try to mail you beer or no?
Well, it depends on how cooperative the post office is. I don't really want to get anybody arrested for trying to break what would that be, bootlegging laws, I guess.
Oh, geez, I don't know. Here in Canada, it's complicated. In case you guys are wondering at home, alcohol is the jurisdiction of the province, aka the state's equivalent, and it depends on what your province sets as rules. Here in Ontario, you may only send alcohol by the mail to another Ontarian, and it must be a special service because the post office needs to verify the recipient's ID. So it's don't do it here, basically. That's kind of how it works out.
That's the biggest part of it, I think. I'm just.
Are you doing a quick Google for your local laws?
Yep. Yeah, I am actually.
That's fine. It's going in raw. No editing on this part.
Yeah, you must select proof of age option. You must also be a provincial liquor board or commission, mailing to a manufacturer distributor, or be a manufacturer. You can't be an individual. Yeah, that's Canada Post rules.
There we go. So you really shouldn't.
Yeah. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, and I'm not going to bail you out if you do it.
Do you guys have alcohol sales and in grocery stores? Just so people that don't know, here we're in different provinces, so we have different laws. So do you guys have it in grocery stores?
Not generally, no. Manitoba has the Manitoba Liquor and Gaming Commission, which is the provincial oversight. They run their own stores, much like the LCBO stores in Ontario. Except for they don't have the separate beer store like Ontario does. That's all in one. Hotels can sell beer. off license, and the microbreweries, which I regularly talk about, can sell their own product from their own stores. But no, you can't go down to the Safeway or Superstore or whatever and buy booze.
So that's interesting.
Except in one or two pilot project kind of things in the city, and in rural areas it's a little bit different, but they are basically a liquor store inside as a separate entity inside the grocery store, but that's just in small rural areas that can't support a full liquor store.
That's interesting. Here in Ontario, I live right next to Quebec, basically. Ottawa borders the province of Quebec. So in Quebec, it's free for all. Like
Yep.
Yeah. The joke is you go to the dépanneur, which is it's basically the convenience store, and you pick up alcohol wherever. It's like very Americanized like that. But here in Ontario, yeah, we have the LCBO, which is a liquor store. We have the beer store, which is, again, they're both, the LCBO, the liquor store, is like provincial. The beer store is licensed by the province. But now we can get beer and wine, just not hard liquor, in grocery stores. But it's not all grocery stores that participate. So it's a little weird. The local Walmart will carry alcohol, but and the Superstore will as well, although I'm boycotting them this month. However, like the Sobeys and Metros and whatever, there's no alcohol there. So it's a very strange thing.
Yeah, I guess they just decided it wasn't worth the hassle of the additional regulatory thing or something. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But I wish instead I still had a Radio Shack to go to, because there's a couple electronics stores here, but they're really they're more of a, like, you need relays, we got relays, you need switches, we got switches, you want Arduino, yeah, we've got the OEM Arduino boards at like an 80% profit margin.
Yeah, until recently there was one electronics store that was hanging on, basically selling stuff to contractors and repair shops and places like that. So you could still buy, if you needed to buy transistors or resistors or capacitors or that kind of stuff. But their bread and butter was still selling like spools of Cat5 and connectors and whatnot to contractors. But they finally just gave up about 3 months ago, I think. So when I heard that, I quickly ran in there and bought as much leaded solder as I could carry.
You're not using the cheap Chinesium stuff yet, then?
I have one spool of that, and I swear at it every time I pick it up. It just does not cooperate with me at all.
That's funny. I have about 6 spools of Chinese lead solder here, and only one of them is really bad, and I think it's because it's way too thin, so the rosin there's very little in it. But
that may be what it is, because that cheap Chinesium one that I've got is super thin. It's I can't reach it from here, but yeah, it's by far the thinnest. When I use it with some extra flux, even if it's just my homemade flux, it does work better. But any of the Kester or the MG that I've got works so much better without the hassle. So I stick to using that until I run out.
One of my Patreons a couple of years ago sent me a Christmas gift package, and in that was basically stuff from my wish list on Amazon. And one of the things was I think a pound or 2 pounds worth of MG, leaded solder. And I've been using that for years now, and I can't even see that there's anything missing from it. Like, it doesn't go away. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I've still got my emergency supply of Radio Shack solder that I've had since, oh God, I don't know how long. It's back when Radio Shack actually still sold real components and things, before they turned into just a phone and remote control toy store, before they got bought out and all the rest of that. So I've still got a couple of spools of that for emergencies.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Radio Shack here in Canada became the Source, which is just a smaller, more expensive, and more cell phone focused Best Buy, essentially.
That's essentially what it is. Yeah. I think a friend of ours managed to get his hands on a bunch of surplus from one that he bought from somebody who had bought it from them years ago. And I'm not sure if he's still digging through it or not, but he showed some pictures of some of the stuff that he got. It was a pretty impressive haul.
Are you talking about another maker?
No, Get Your Reboot.
Oh, Oh, he did. Yeah. Well, it's because another maker is constantly going to like flea markets, which I have never seen the quality of stuff that he finds around his place here in Canada. Like there's absolutely no way that I could find stuff like that, but he keeps getting lucky with that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just location based. Who knows? I'm sure if we were to go out to some of the ham radio flea markets, we could probably come up with some of that kind of stuff, but I haven't seen one of those in a few years either. Maybe I'm just not watching in the right advertisement spaces.
Let me see if there's one in Ottawa. I doubt it. There's probably
there probably is, but it's not that huge. I expect, like everything, Toronto would have something bigger. Montreal might.
Oh, there is one that fills a hockey arena, but it's out where the satellite installation is.
Well, it's a couple hours out for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost an hour out.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of a distance. And the last thing they posted was that it will be happening on Saturday, September 9th, 2023.
Right.
So yeah, it's not a regular thing. This is what I find with a lot of stuff here in Ottawa. Like I looked up, since you went to the Maker Faire, I looked up the Ottawa Maker Faire, and the next one is scheduled for June 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the problem here.
Yeah. Talking to the people in Calgary that put the one on there, they had the obvious break for 2020 and 2021, and then they had to scramble for the next couple of years and try and find the people who did it before and figure out how to start it up basically from scratch again. And this year it's grown over the last year, but like a lot of volunteer-run organizations, they were having some challenges finding enough people to do enough of the jobs. And I found that with a lot of volunteer-run or community-run things these days, they're just running out of the volunteers that'll take the bull by the horns and do it.
Well, it's because the whole thing is a thankless job, really. Right, is a lot of work to do, a lot of organization to do, and not much reward, right? So I can see the problem with it. Like,
yeah, you basically have to do it because you want the thing to exist, and if you don't do it, then it won't. It's kind of like William Osmond and his open source that he's doing. That's going to be that's in a few weeks again, isn't it, in California?
Yeah, it's in June.
Yeah.
Is there a future where you go to open source?
Possibly. I'd have to dust off my passport and figure out how to renew it because it expired while the planes weren't flying a couple of years ago.
Fair enough. I've been for the first time, I was formally invited to the Open Hardware Summit in Montreal. It was really close. It was last month. It was really close by last month. I was planning on going, and I was quite honored to be invited. Like not to speak, but I was invited, as a guest. But I got so incredibly busy with my 3 jobs, including YouTube, and it was tax season approaching, so I couldn't make it. So at some point, I do hope to go to an event like that. But
that sort of event, yeah. Now that I got a bit more time on my hands, I would like to as well, if they weren't all so bloody far away from me and required, international travel in a lot of cases.
Yeah, it's incredibly, for those listening at home, it's incredibly expensive to fly within Canada and to fly out of Canada. The prices are insane. Most people here in Canada will drive to the nearest American airport and fly out from there. I know when my wife and I went to Vegas, probably about 10 years ago now, that's what we did. We drove all the way down to, well, we crossed the border, stayed at a hotel next to the airport, parked our car. They even have like a deal where you book the hotel night and you can park your car there for up to a week because they know Canadians do that. And then, we flew back there, got in the car and drove back. So it is incredibly expensive for us to go to anywhere, basically. It's really sad.
The airport in Grand Forks, North Dakota has exactly the same setup for people coming from Winnipeg because that's the closest American airport to us.
So there we go. We have exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And that's exactly what I did decades ago when I went to Las Vegas. I drove down to Minot and took a cheap flight from there. Even with the extra night in the hotel, it still was cheaper, weirdly.
Oh, that's interesting that you went to Vegas as well. Was there any particular reason? My wife and I just wanted to do the touristy things, essentially.
I said, this was over 30 years ago. And at the job I was working at the time, I just felt the need to go someplace where clocks are irrelevant. And Vegas seemed like the appropriate place for that.
Yeah, we went in the summer. It was like 120 degrees on the day we left, or something like that.
At least I went in the winter, so I could have a break from that as well. But no, I was just stressed at work and needed a break to someplace completely different. And that was the place I could get the cheapest flight to, so that's where I went.
Fair enough. And so, since you're retired now, if I organize some sort of game show where maybe I could pit you against Gadget Reboot, and this is all off the top of my head, by the way, I didn't speak to any of you about this. Is that something you'd be interested in? Would you come to town to do an Arduino Bash Fest, you versus Gadget Reboot?
Oh man, that's interesting. I thought you were going to say an online one. You're going to turn into Tom Scott or something.
No,
possibly. I'm for this first year. I'm kind of not expending too much money. Just until I get it figured out how much it costs me to live when I'm not going to work every day.
Oh, I would have to cover you. It'd be for my YouTube channel, obviously. No, I'm just I was thinking out loud, or literally.
This is a fun idea.
Yep. I was thinking out loud literally before this podcast. I'm like, oh man, how would we do it without getting my face, Gadget Reboot's face, or Pileofstuff's face on camera?
Yeah, that would be a challenge, wouldn't it? And no, I'm not going to wear a mask like Dream or Deadmau5 or any of those guys. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, that could be the first challenge. Create your own Deadmau5 equivalent helmet for the future challenges.
3D print a helmet, yeah.
All right. Well, I think I've kept you quite long enough, but you have a kind of a unique opportunity to talk directly to your subscribers and my subscribers who might be listening to this. What do you want them to know about the future of your channel, because you are retired now and you do have more time, so things could change.
I suppose things could change, but for the interim, for the next year or more, I don't see myself going anywhere. I'm still going to be posting, or trying to post, every Friday and every second Monday. Although I'm into the 190s of Mailbag Mondays, I'm not sure. Should I keep going after 200? I don't know. Questions there, comments down below. I probably will, but I'm not really planning on making any changes that anybody would notice on YouTube. Just continuing to follow my curiosity in the videos, and that's the biggest theme of it. Is just everything that I put on camera is me following my curiosity about one thing or another. Even the project that I did last week, where I modified my brother's Operation game to make it really loud and annoying, that was partly just doing a favor for him and partly just can I actually do this? All the teardown videos are, again, just, this is interesting. What's inside it? I'm curious. So that is not going to end. I have no plans on ending that. I might take a week off here and there, but I have no plans on going anywhere. You're stuck with me.
I mean, I think most of your subscribers will be pretty happy with the fact that you're not planning on retiring from YouTube. You know, I read your YouTube comments. I watch pretty much every video. Whether or not I watch them on release date lately has been a little bit of a iffy thing, but yeah, I can see that people are really passionate about what you do, which is really nice. So it's good to see that you're not retiring from the YouTube for now.
No, 4 or 5 years ago, after I was sort of catching my stride on it, I thought at that time it might be a good retirement project just to keep me interested, keep my brain working, that kind of thing. And who knows, maybe that's exactly what it's going to be.
So I typically ask my guests the same question, which I've asked you before, like what would you do if you had unlimited funds or whatever. But I've got a different one for you. Since you're a YouTuber, well, you've already answered it, so, you know, unless you have something different. But since you're a YouTuber, it's kind of like a lot of our projects are meta and referential. Like, for example, we make videos on the lighting we use to light our videos, right?
Yep.
If you were given, let's say a sponsor reached out to you and they wanted to pay you $1,000 to upgrade your setup, what right now is annoying you the most in your setup that $1,000 or so could fix?
Probably, well, I mean, right now everything just works. I turn it on. Maybe upgrading cameras so that I could have a couple of cameras that I could switch between live. Right now, my main camera is a phone. My second camera could be a phone or a cheap GoPro knockoff, things like that. Just having a couple of cameras that are just permanently sitting here that I don't have to take and do other things with, that might be useful. Other than that, I don't really know, until I outgrow the workbench space that I've got, and maybe that would be it, just a physically larger space so that I could put bigger things on my workbench. That might actually be a worthwhile thing. I don't know, I haven't really thought about this, which is the whole point of the question, I guess.
Is that realistic for like around $1,000? Like, could you shift your stuff around and build a bigger workbench, or are you really kind of like did your hobby sort of grow like a gas and fill up all the space that was allotted to it?
Yeah, well, basically it's in a basement bedroom kind of a space. Right up above my workbench is the model railroad that I've been ignoring for the last several years. It's more a shelf right now. So I'm not sure what I would do to physically expand. I might rethink that model railroad and get a bigger workbench. I noticed that who was it? Jeff Geerling just did a couple of videos on putting together a new electronics workbench, and he's given himself essentially twice as much space as I've got, which is still not a huge space, but it's enough to work on a computer or something. Right now, I couldn't put a computer case up on my workbench to work on it. So it would be kind of nice to have that amount of space. That would probably leave change left over from your $1,000 sponsorship, but
there we go.
That could go to stocking the beer fridge.
I can fit a computer on my workbench, but just about. And the issue is that all horizontal space becomes storage space. So I built 16 feet of new workbenches in the last couple of years, and they're just covered in stuff. Like, it's insane. So I've got 16 plus about 6, so whatever that is, 20. Math, 22 linear feet by probably, I think it's 2 feet deep. So 22 by 2 is my horizontal workspace, and I'm constantly running out. I have to shift things and stack things in order to make it all fit. So yeah, it's just there's a no winning scenario here.
Yeah, my workspace, my workbench in quotation marks is an old desk. And the only space that's clear enough to do anything in is literally the size of the cutting mat that I've got on it, which is 43 centimeters by 28 centimeters.
Yeah, there we go.
And that's what's in view on the camera, and that's basically the only unoccupied space. I like to have the things that I use regularly within arm's reach without losing my chair. Like the oscilloscope is just off to the right. The computer is to the right of that. The multimeters and a whole bunch of screwdrivers and other tools are just off to the left. And just above the sign that's usually in the top of the shot, there's all the small hand tools and stuff like that. So
somehow I didn't know that you sit at your YouTubing space.
Yeah, no, it's literally a desk.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have a dirty workshop. Essentially, the people who owned the house before me, the guy was a little handy, which is kind of bad because there's there's shelves made of hockey sticks and whatever that the inspector told me to take down. But other than that, there's like a dirty workspace. It's very small. It's probably 6 feet by 6 feet, maybe 6 by 8. And in there, I've got like a desk, but my actual YouTubing bench, you can look it up on at Canadian Tire. It's the Mastercraft like workbench. It's literally that I got used for like $20.
Right. I'm familiar with that. I wander past them all the time.
There we go. So it's the blue one with the 2 drawers. That's yep. Exactly what I use. And so far my Unity full setup is going to be stacked on the top shelf there in no time. Yeah.
Oh, it's that is one thing that I do find myself starting to run out of space. I mean, Mailbag Monday is partially responsible for that. And partially just because I can't stand to throw out something that's useful. Yes, hoarder, I know. I've got a whole most of the things that I've done teardowns on recently are in a box just off to the side here so that I can harvest parts out of them. And when I built a dual rail power supply a few months back, most of the parts for that came out of that box of salvage. So I've convinced myself that it's a useful thing to do.
Here's what you need to do. You need to go to Home Depot when they have the sale on the tough totes, the stackable ones. Mm-hmm. And you need to get a bunch of those, and you need to make a cold storage rack in your garage for the long-term stuff. Put a big white label on the front, and don't forget it's tax deductible. So there you go. That's my tip for you.
Yeah, I just have to get over my fear of the tax forms.
Oh, it's easy. Don't worry about it. But anyways, before we devolve into talking about taxes, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Do you have a video that you would recommend the listeners to this podcast, if they're unfamiliar with your channel, to go check out? Maybe something that just screams pile of stuff?
Oh, man. After, how many have I done? 400 and some? It's no more than that. It's hard to pick only one. I know the one that has the most views is the most unusual on the channel. I was fixing my daughter's Raggedy Ann music box a whole bunch of years ago, but that's completely not typical. Probably the playlists on teardowns. Those are all just me following my curiosity, digging into whatever old piece of electronics that I found and looking around what's inside it. That playlist is probably going to be the most typical I would expect. And other than that, the Mailbag Monday, but that's unboxing videos or mail haul videos, which a lot of people do and a lot of people seem to enjoy watching. So I'm going to keep doing those too.
Yeah, people have pretty firmly told me that they do not want mailbag videos anymore, which is fine by me. By the way, Social Blade says you have 620 uploads.
Wow. And 190, some of those are mailbags. So the rest of them are everything else. There's a small playlist of Arduino stuff. There's a really ancient playlist of model railroad stuff that I haven't touched in a long time. But most of it is going to be the Curiosity teardowns. There's a bunch of Arduino projects on there as well. Yeah, it just bounces around based on what I'm curious about that particular day.
And just so you know, you are just a lick away from 4 million video views. You're at 3.78 million video views.
See, I don't spend a lot of time looking at that kind of stuff. As I said earlier, I'm treating this more as a hobby than a business, and that's what keeps me doing it, is because I'm just having fun doing it. So
yeah, and that's fair enough. But I'm just telling you, in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. In August, you should hit 4 million video views. So maybe plan something for that.
Maybe I'll have to have a glass of scotch instead of a beer.
There we go. And maybe that could be the month of your live stream. And so you should 3D print a woofler.
Oh no, I'll turn into Big Clive. People already accuse me of trying to rip him off.
Oh, come on. But anyone that has that opinion doesn't know Clive, essentially.
Yeah, he is one of a kind for sure.
And he's like super, super cool. He doesn't give a crap what anybody does.
Yeah, I get that too. He's another person who's just doing his own thing, following his curiosity. Which
Absolutely.
I can't say I haven't been inspired by him. I've even referenced him several times and done several of my videos based on things that he's done, just taking it in a different direction. But yeah, I'm just glad to be in the same sentence as him some days, even if somebody's just complaining that I'm ripping him off.
And well, we're going to give you your time back to go rip him off. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. And I really hope that you find fulfillment in your retirement and get some time to relax and enjoy yourself.
Oh, it already is. It really is. I highly recommend it to anybody for stress relief project.
And anybody who's 35 and younger, we don't even know what retirement means. But anyways, thank you everyone for listening, and we're going to catch you on the next one.